Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1 million by 1 million strategy roundtable for entrepreneurs. 1M by 1M, as you know, is the first and only global virtual accelerator for technology startups. Our mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million and beyond in annual revenue. In support of that mission, we've been doing these free mentoring roundtables for years and years and years. This is the 686th session. The first of these was an experiment back in the fall of 2008. And since then, I would say more or less, Maureen and I have been hosting these sessions, maybe 48 out of the 52 weeks a year. So it's been a massive amount of exposure to what's happening in various corners of the world. And I was just before we kicked off this call, I was speaking with Aman, who's in rural Bihar, which is a less developed state in India. And we have really, literally, in front of our eyes, we have seen the development of the world happen, of how more and more backward countries, backward states, backward places in the world have developed and come into these sessions. India has always been a big part of our ecosystem. The US has always been not just Silicon Valley, but all corners of the United States. But what has been fascinating in recent years is the rise of Africa, for example. In the premium program, we've had students from Kazakhstan. So it's really fascinating what's happening, and we are thrilled to have the opportunity to play a role in this entrepreneurship development around the world. Today, we're going to start the session with a conversation with Lisa Chai, General Partner of Interwoven Ventures. Lisa, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So this is my first conversation with Lisa, so I would love to get to know you a little bit. If you could introduce yourself, a bit of your background, and then a bit of the firm's background for the benefit of our audience, that'll be great.
Yes, definitely. So I'm Lisa Chai, a co-founder and general partner. I co-lead the firm's investment activities. I have over 2 decades of investing experience in both public and private markets, where I was a senior vice president and portfolio manager for several companies, including Global, Angelo Gordon private equity firm, and Palisade Capital's emerging growth funds, responsible for industrial and technology sectors. Interwoven, the company I co-founded, is an early stage venture fund investing in the field of robotics and AI, with an emphasis in foundational industries going through major labor shortages. We invest in seed to Series B companies across multiple sectors, such as manufacturing, logistics, supply chain, and healthcare tech, where we believe that robotics and AI are sort of making the biggest impact today and will experience that sustained period of growth that we're looking for. I started my tech investing journey even when I was a kid, watching science fiction movies, and in college, I became a computer programmer. I've always been a very big finance geek. I read a lot of books on Excel spreadsheet, I got a lucky break working on Wall Street, working for a hedge fund, covering technology sector and consumer, before moving on to PE and VC. But I've always been sort of fascinated by technology, watching movies like Star Wars, and really been reading on the side all these disruptive technologies, whether it's blockchain, climate tech technologies, or AI. And I've really been involved in learning about AI for probably about 20 years now.
How big is the fund, Interwoven?
Yes, we are a small fund of just 4 investment people. AUM right now below 100 million. We began the VC journey when it was really incubated under a larger established investment fund called Global. And that was a $5 billion plus fund. That is an investment strategy that was sort of founded in 2013, where we were the world's first to launch a robotic strategy. And at the time, nobody was doing that. but it was all companies comprised of publicly traded companies. So as a team, we have been researching investing in the space, and one of the close partners said, hey, why aren't we investing in the private space? So we were incubated under them. We raised money through sort of the close circle that followed Robo Global and also the Robo Global entity. And we launched the first fund in December 2021.
Okay. And
I think,
what
yeah,
size checks do you write when you write seed checks? Well, let's start with seed because we are a very early stage accelerator. Let's
I
start
think
with seed. What size checks do you write?
on the low end, about 100,000.
Okay.
So for pre-seed to seed, we're pretty much of a seed investor rather than a first check investor,
Mm-hmm.
but right somewhere between 100,000 to, let's say, 500,000 for seed round. But we do invest multiple times. We have several companies where they raised a seed round and they did an extension of a seed round. We participated.
Yeah.
So we're very flexible in that sense. We do invest through convertible, safe, many different ways where we work with the founders on that. Series A and B, we have written checks up to 3 million.
Okay. And what do you want to see in a company before? What is the stage of development of the company that you want to see before you're willing to write a check?
Yeah, we want to see some type of product that you've already developed, a demo. If you have a couple pilot customers, that's great, wonderful. We'll probably have to talk to one of them, or at least get some use case, understand. If you don't have revenues, that's okay, as long as you have some of these pilot customers. And many of these customers' use cases aren't new to us. We understand it. So we know you could scale. And where we choose our founders that we choose to work with, we look at our backgrounds and we say, where do we have the domain expertise? Do we have connections with customers? Can we help? The more we have this alignment, we tend to lead around or co-lead, and we write bigger checks. Where we really understood that the collaboration, working with the investment team and as well as our technical advisors, and as well as the founders and their technical team, that has really worked out well for us.
And what is your geographical footprint in terms of the kinds of companies that you want to invest in? You are based in New York.
Yes, we're based in New York. We do have some of our key venture partners and advisors throughout the world. Right now, I would say we invest primarily in the US, around 70%. The rest are in the UK and Europe.
Okay, but not New York only, all over the US.
Yes, all over. We actually tend to prefer, and I don't know how you think about this, but we tend to prefer maybe get out of California because I think there's so many great companies outside of California. But what we have found is we will build a relationship with a founder in various parts of the US or the world, and then they eventually move to California. So now I look at our portfolio company analysis and say, wow, why are these companies all in California? Half of them moved. And I understand it. I think it's something that we support. If they tell us and say, hey, we have to move there because our customers there or our biggest investors are there, we want to be part of that ecosystem and to get the support and help from other founders. And I understand, really depending on what you're building.
Yeah, but you don't have it. But I think the bottom line for our purpose, since we're a global accelerator, for our purpose, pretty much all I want to know is that you invest all over the United States. You also invest in Europe. You also invest in the UK. And that would give me the framework with which to work with you.
Exactly. And then right now, if you look at our pipeline, it's mostly global. And we have companies in Asia. We're really not excluding certain countries. We just look at our expertise and the flow of companies that's coming through where we really have a connection. So we are very open. We do believe that what our investment theme that we're looking for is really primarily towards global type of expansion. And some countries is more attractive because sometimes robotics and AI are relatively new in those countries. So we really want to be picking the pioneers of those companies, industries.
So from what I gathered, you are focusing on vertical AI. Is that a correct observation?
I think that we lean sort of heavier towards vertical AI, but it's not a mandate.
Okay, let's double click down on vertical AI. We'll come back to what else you're doing besides vertical AI, since vertical AI is coming up in conversations constantly right now. And we're double clicking down heavily on vertical AI. Just earlier this week, I talked to a really excellent founder who has built up to over 5 million in revenue in healthcare AI space and doing really well. So I want to understand how are you thinking about vertical AI, and what kind of things are you particularly interested in, feel like you're either looking for or have invested in? And you're welcome to talk about some of your case studies of what you have invested in. And if you do that, I would like to understand why you chose to invest in those particular companies. What stage did you discover them, and what attracted you?
Right. We're looking for where robotics, automation, AI play a very big role, and what industries are going through that massive demographic shift, labor crisis. We have also seen the rise of e-commerce and how that's straining the supply chain critically today. So then we look at our background and our investment team and where we have that domain expertise and deep network where we could help out. And they tend to be areas in that manufacturing, logistics, supply chain, and healthcare. We do believe overall the AI and robotics and automation really comprise of all industries, and we see the impact in it. Related to vertical AI, what we see is that where the use cases that we could see that's providing an immediate ROI. And that's when we really looked at some of these specialized industries. We need to make sure that there's some type of defensibility in what you're building. We know that vertical AI is going to be stickier, and there's going to be a higher switching cost. In the supply chain industry, companies like UPS and FedEx and DHL, they are the large gorillas, and they're looking at solutions that they don't have to switch out every 6 months. So in situations like that, we know that if a company like UPS is really evaluating your system, that you have something that they could see that could scale within their organization, and you'll have a really successful installation experience. So this is sort of how we're looking at it. We also understand that robotics and AI are relatively new, still emerging and still evolving. So we look for that traditional industries where they're going to invest heavily. They're not going to stick it out, and they're looking for some expertise and support, whether it's coming through integrators or advisors or investors like us. So we really work very closely together with the customers.
So let's do some use cases. Tell us about some companies that you've invested in vertical AI, and let's understand a bit more about those.
Yeah, definitely. But I think it's important to know, like, we don't say, okay, we need manufacturing companies, so let's look at manufacturing. We meet founders from all over the world all the time.
Yes.
And we hear the use case and we're like, wow, there's a light switch that goes off, you know?
Well, it's important. So more than your domain knowledge, it's more important for the founder's domain knowledge in that vertical AI, whichever domain that you're looking at, to be there. That founder's domain is the defensible advantage, domain knowledge.
And so most recently, we invested in a company called Chef Robotics. I don't know if you ever heard of them. They're in California, in San Francisco. The company's in a really rapidly growth stages, helping food manufacturers in the prepared meal industry. The robots know how to handle over 2,000 ingredients using their AI-powered software, and so far has done just a great job of preparing over 50 million meals since inception.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, this is more than any food robotic companies that out there that we know of. But the secret sauce is not their robot. They just buy an off-the-shelf robot. Their secret sauce is their software and also of their real world production training data that they already have. And because of that, they are now leader in the food space. Chef has customers in the US and Canada. They have plans to expand worldwide, with UK market being sort of the first ones out of North America that they're going to roll out this year. And what is really important is that these robots in the food space have traditionally been sort of designed to automate the workflow of that lower mixed production lines for that mass production of one item. But the
What
trend now,
what stage did they come to you? You know, how, where, what was their proof point, and what
yeah,
stage did you get involved?
this is a very interesting story because this is a seed stage company that had some traction. The founder already had 3 customers, but at the time, maybe they had produced about a couple 100,000 meals using their robotic system. Maybe they had 1 paying commercial customer and the others were pilot customers.
Pilot customers, yeah, that works.
But what attracted to us was really their business model. Their business model using a RaaS model, where they're actually kind of leasing out their robotic solution on a monthly sort of subscription model, was something that the food industry desperately needed. And their ROI was immediate, where 6 to 9 month type of ROI, where food companies are looking at labor shortage as a comparison as to the turnover and the labor, retaining the staff. That was the biggest sort of headache that the industry was going through. So when you are coming with a business model of a RaaS solution, it really clicked. And it's important to know that RaaS doesn't work with every vertical, but in the food space, it really worked. And we also saw that this is a great example of a company that's a physical AI company, where AI is really interacting with that physical environment.
Yeah.
So they had a small traction, came to us. We had a lot of due diligence, looking at the companies, looking at getting a demo, went to their headquarters and spoke to a customer, spoke to some of their lead investors and their board members, and it just all came together. And since then, we've been a very happy investor. They just raised the Series A round very successfully, oversubscribed, and we also participated. And our style is to continue to participate probably up until Series C or D, even though we are early stage investor.
Yeah.
We are going to continue to support as much as we can, as long as they're meeting the milestones. And so far, Chef has really exceeded all of the milestones, including ours, and I think even theirs.
How so we have this Entrepreneur Journeys series where we love to invite entrepreneurs to come tell their stories, just like you're telling your story in this session, but we have also Entrepreneur Journeys. So if these guys have crossed the $5 million revenue benchmark, please send them over to tell their story if they want to share.
Okay, yes, I would love to do that. I would love to, help that ecosystem of founders helping each other. I think that we have founders that are very open about being transparent and even sharing the deck that helped them raise. And then we also have founders that are, a little bit on the quieter side and they just want to do a one-on-one calls, but love to make that.
I think it's, the Entrepreneur Journey series is a great story from a PR point of view. We've done thousands of these stories, and the who's who of the tech entrepreneurship world have been in the series. So it's a wonderful PR exposure actually for them. So
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get back to what else you have found interesting. This was a really cool use case. What else have you invested in?
Well, yes, on the flip side, another company that we have investment in is it's another US-based company, but they have an AI-powered diagnostic platform for cancer detection and drug discovery. A traditional AI company, but bridging that gap between physical and digital AI. So the company's name is called Prosha, and they're based in Philadelphia. We invested about 4 years ago, and they have a platform called Concentric, which is an AI-powered, and it's really built to accelerate the drug development, diagnostic for pathologists and scientists. Currently being used by 16 of the top 20 pharma leaders, and many of the diagnostic labs are also using it. And I think this is where the AI really shines in healthcare, is helping that physician for that that quicker and more accurate diagnosis, but also reducing that physician burnout. So I really believe that we need to help the pathologists and physicians from the burnout and accelerate that time that patients receive their biopsy results. I had a biopsy result last year. It took 8 days for me to receive that. And I thought it was kind of ridiculous. I'm like, why, with all this technology that we have, why do I have to wait 8 days, right? So these are AI engineers and sort of biology scientists that came together from Johns Hopkins. They spun out and they left the company to start this. And so proud of what the team has accomplished. It's a young team. They've hired some experienced operators to help build. They have, it wasn't always a very smooth pathway for them because, healthcare industry is super slow.
Very slow, yeah.
And they don't like new technologies coming into their industry, but they really stuck through it. They have grit. And now, recently, they had a very successful fundraising round led by Insight Partners. And I'm so proud to be sort of part of the early investors of this company.
And you said they're selling to pharma?
Yeah, they're selling to the pharmas for the research scientists for drug discovery. And then the other part of their business is they sell right to the labs, pathology labs, where you could use their software platform that's actually digitizing the entire workflow from the time that you send the biopsy, they upload the data using AI to detect whether these are suspicious looking cells. And then you're able to kind of provide that output for the physician to deliver the results. So that two parts of business is great because when you have this type of software platform, it could be used both for the research community, the university, academic centers, and then the pharmas, and also the lab setting. And these research universities, by the way, are, as you know, sponsored by the pharmas to come up with new drugs.
Yeah. So Lisa, is this a seed investment for you?
This was actually, we participated when I was still in Robo Global, investing through the private funds there. We invested Series A round, and now they just completed Series C.
Okay. It's the reason I asked you about the seed question is that these kinds of companies that are playing in the drug discovery ecosystem or in the health ecosystem in general, their early stage journey tends to be quite complicated. So I love to hear about how they have navigated the early stage journeys to get to a point where investors are willing to write checks, because this is a very cumbersome go-to-market strategy that they have to navigate.
Yes, and I think one thing I learned from them is because we were actually investing a little bit more A and B, and now we're going a little bit earlier. What I learned from them is the fact that you need to spend time really talking to that early stage pre-seed seed investors. Otherwise, you're going to really waste a lot of time talking to the later stage investors that kind of pretend to be early stage, but they're not.
Yeah, that we have covered in 1Mby1M. We focus very heavily on investor entrepreneur fit, and
Yes.
we are very careful about whom we send entrepreneurs to, just not to waste a lot of time.
Yeah, and sometimes you get the connection and you talk to them and maybe they're ready. We have seen, by the way, situations where a later stage investor say, I'm really ready for early stage. We make the connection and they really take that leap. But you could usually tell as a founder the kind of question that they're asking you. They're going to say, why is your revenue only 4 million? And you're like, wow.
Yeah, we're very much aware of that. So, Lisa, what are you seeing in your deal flow? So, you are obviously soliciting AI ventures, robotics ventures, vertical AI ventures, and maybe some other things as well. What trends are you picking up from the deal flow?
We're seeing a lot of generative AI companies right now. Obviously, you read a lot about agentic platforms, but you don't see a ton. That's at least really
ready.
where.
Yeah, agentic is a little bit early still, I think.
I think so. And I think the more you kind of read and learn about, and if you have any time to look through the data center builders, right? AI platform companies, what they're building, you could still see that we're in that early stage of building the infrastructure that's really required to really run a really nice Gen AI type of applications. So because of that, I think we're still in the infrastructure build mode in AI companies. So we are meeting a lot of semiconductor companies, edge devices. There's some amazing companies right now, very high quality, really impressed with it.
Is that something you do invest in, semiconductor?
Yes, we do. And we're actually looking.
That's a very specialized area.
It is, and we're looking for our thesis is really investment thesis to look for builders and developers of AI, but not necessarily the companies are building data infrastructure like the data centers. We don't have the kind of capital to provide that, and we're not unhappy that we have a bunch of VCs that are willing to pay hundreds of millions to help support that infrastructure build. We're looking for more of a AI tool companies, or I'm seeing a lot of great multimodal software companies. That's really
Yeah, software is doable in a leaner fashion. Semiconductor is a fat startup, effectively. You know, there's if you distinguish between lean startups and fat startups, semiconductors tend to be fat startups, and those are hard to manage.
right. And we also,
unless you have very specialized expertise.
yes, we agree. And we're looking at some AI application companies, but we're a little bit pickier with the AI application because we have to understand what is their defensibility, right? Is it just you're just automating the workflow and you're saving operational expenses? But we really want AI, the kind of AI companies we're looking for are the ones that's going to do beyond just helping reduce costs in the OpEx, but also help customers monetize some revenue, market share, revenue capture, in really improving their productivity. I think those kind of companies are going to be valued higher than the ones that are just saying, hey, we could help you automate this intelligently using AI. We already gone through that, right, phase. So you're going to see that enterprises now, customers want solutions that could do beyond just cost savings and efficiencies. You need to help them generate revenues. Everyone's going through revenue growth issues right now. They want to take market share. They want to expand to new areas of growth. They have a real strong idea of what they're looking for. They just don't know where they are. The customers don't know where we are in the AI stage. Do we invest now? Do we invest later? Do we continue to assess what we're trying to achieve? So you're seeing a lot of these discussions, and I think it's important to make sure you're not just part of a project of an AI, but you have to be part of the workflow. The entire.
So one of the things I'm seeing both from investors and entrepreneurs is there's a lot of services that are going on inside of these AI product companies, that it's kind of like products and services. And a lot of the agentic AI work is happening in those kinds of companies where there is lots of domain knowledge, lots of customer relationships, and lots of automation to accomplish. And that is done in a services mode often, and then productized as people go along. So I'm seeing multi-million-dollar contracts being written to vendors within the vertical AI space that are actually cost-saving contracts, but it is heavy-duty automation, heavy-duty automation. So anyway, that gives me a very good idea, and you know, we can start working together, and we'll send you entrepreneurs as we go along. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, thank you.
Is there anything else that you want to add to our listeners before we switch to the entrepreneur pitches? I know you have to run, but we're going to switch to entrepreneur pitches soon.
I think the only thing is that power of networking. I think a lot of times founders believe that, hey, if I just keep my heads down and build my product and then get a couple customers, my numbers will really impress people. But I always tell founders that if you go network and meet people, because you don't know who could be your partner, your investor. A lot of times, a lot of my portfolio companies, I didn't meet them because some one of my VC friends called and said, hey, can you look at this company? I met them naturally at conferences, at events, and we took out some side, times together to learn about what they're working on, what they're building. Those are companies I get really excited, and a lot of VCs as well. We all like to think like we've discovered this on our own, So networking is really important. And if you can't do it yourself because you're shy and introvert, and that's okay, then hire someone, a co-founder who can do that. Because I think that's a very important part of the story right now, is to go out there and try to meet as many investors and partners that you can, and then just keep an eye on them. Even if they're later stage, you never know if they leave and start their own fund. So maintain that relationship, whether it's a newsletter, whether you have events or attending conferences. You have to show that you're around and that you're relevant and that you're building something amazing.
All right. Thank you, Lisa. Good to meet you, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Bye.
Bye-bye. Folks, we're going to switch to the entrepreneur pitch section of the meeting today. Remember, this is a safe working session. There is no other agenda. This is not Shark Tank. We're not trying to entertain, TV viewers. This is a real working session, and it's a serious session. So we're going to work on your businesses. We're going to give you feedback, and you will do what you want with it. If you disagree with my feedback, that's your prerogative. It's your venture at the end of the day. Mrinank Mahajan from Pune, please unmute your line and tell us what you're working on. What happened? Where's Mrinank? He was here. He just talked to me. Okay, I'm going to move forward to Aman then. One second, Aman. Ooh, lots of slides. Aman, go ahead.
Okay. So basically, ma'am, we are trying to build, like we have recently done the R&D in right now in semiconductor industry. There is a biggest huge gap. Like, as of now, if somebody wants to enter the semiconductor industry, there is a huge gap. Like, you would have to put around $150 million to $300 million for a machine. And in recent times, we were working on this project, and we have innovated a machine or a machine that can just reduce the cost by 10x, and it will increase the efficiency by 10x.
Of what?
Of chip fabrication.
Aman, do you have any background in this?
My co-founder will be just moving ahead. Like he is the CTO, so he would be handling further.
What's his background?
So, CTO here. So my background is in semiconductor technology and mainly ASIC designs, like the application-specific integrated circuits. So I have 5 years of experience in that field. So that only introduced to semiconductor industries.
Where have you worked in chip design?
I have worked as a freelancer for many startups, like hardware-based concepts. They would give me IC specification and I would design their own chips.
Have any of these gone into manufacturing?
Yes, most of them went into manufacturing, and even total combined around 100 to 200,000 chips they have produced it. Mainly, I have worked in.
Go ahead, please.
Worked in mining chips. There is a craze for crypto mining, that's and all. So the chip is very demand in that field. So I have produced many designs in that kind of area.
Okay, so neither of you have any experience in chip manufacturing. Your experience is in chip design. Abyaz's experience is chip design, and that's really what you're banking on.
I do have experience in chip manufacturing, but predominantly I was focused on ASIC design. So currently now there is a very much great demand. So that's why I'm focusing on chip manufacturing.
Chip manufacturing is an incredibly large industry, and it's an incredibly cumbersome, complex industry. There are very, very large companies like KLA, 10 Core, Lam Research, Novellus, etc., which are applied materials which build the machines. And it's
Yes, they
extremely R&D intensive. It's extremely complicated. I don't see the background in you, in the two of you, to take this on.
so okay. Shall we continue about the pitch?
You can continue
If
about the pitch, but I don't think this is a business that you can get into. You will not succeed. You don't have the background to do this business. But
okay,
you can go,
thanks
you can
for
do the pitch. I'll listen to your pitch, sure.
okay. So first of all, in India, there is not even a single semiconductor fabrication plant. That's the key thing here. It's completely out of the market. But there is a competition, mainly around Zoho and Tata Industries. They are planning to opening their fabs in 2027. So that kind of fabs would take many time. So the main cumbersome process in semiconductor industries is the EUV machine or extreme ultraviolet lithography machines. They would cost around one unit is around 300 million to 308 million dollars, and would take around 10 years to manufacture a single machine. So that's the key bottleneck in the semiconductor industry itself, because they are using what is known as subtractive manufacturing, or removing material from the chip and creating materials. So you have mentioned about Lam research. They are working on photoresist, which the machine would expose, like in old black and white photo, they would develop in a solution. They would dip the photo in a photosensitive solution, and the sensitive solution would develop the photo. So that's called photoresist. Lam research is predominantly working in photoresist, and many of the industries you are told also working on photoresist. They are not working on mainly producing the chip. So what we are here trying to do is additive manufacturing, a chip on demand platform. Like there is a market in PCB manufacturing, which was predominantly relied on B2B. But after the chip PCB on demand business started, it saw exponential growth, like around 46 CAGR per year. So that's we are focusing. How can we achieve that? Using additive manufacturing. You have heard about 3D printing technologies and other things, but they do lack the precision necessary for semiconductor manufacturing. That is the problem we are solving here. Okay, shall
Do you
we?
have a machine? Have you built a machine?
Yes, I do have simulations and basic prototypes, but not like a full version of prototype. That would require some funding, pre-seed funding.
I don't think you can raise money for this. With your background, I don't think you'll be able to raise money for this.
Okay.
This happens to be an industry that I know quite well because I've worked in with some of these companies, both on the design side and on the manufacturing side. But this is not an area where, with your background, you will be able to raise money. Not in India for sure, and nowhere. I think this is not going to be viable for you to raise money. So the question is,
Okay.
what kind of chips can your product build?
So we are aiming for post-silicon chips, like 2D materials are the future, and electrons have achieved their limit. Yeah, the data in data center is reaching around 150 terabits per second. We need to break that. We need you to use lights, like silicon photonics is a great choice. But silicon photonics and photodetectors are predominantly limited by technology constraints put in by the subtractive manufacturing. You can't create complex hollow structures. Like a 3D printer, main advantage is it can create complex geometrical structures, which is not possible in subtractive manufacturing.
These numbers don't look realistic to me.
Okay.
I think it's grossly under estimated. So first and foremost, I think there's a huge problem with the kind of background with which you're coming into chip manufacturing equipment. I don't think it's a credible background to go into chip manufacturing equipment. Two, I don't think these numbers make any sense. So I don't think this is going to work. I don't think
Okay,
it's going to
thank
work
you
at
for
all.
telling me.
You're welcome. What happened to the other guy who was supposed to pitch, Maureen? He seems to have fallen off. Okay, well, I'm going to explain to you how to use 1 million by 1 million. And you can ask questions in public chat. You can also ask Maureen to be, he seems to have disappeared. He's not here in the room. So you can ask questions in the public chat. And if you want to be put on as a panelist, Maureen, can you put people on as a panelist? I know we've made some changes in the workflow. Anyway, let us know if you want to ask questions. I think George Victor wants to ask questions. You could also, he's asking to be unmuted. Can you do that, Maureen? All right, I'm going to explain to you how to use 1 million by 1 million, and then you can ask your questions. So everything here is virtual. You can access 1Mby1M from anywhere in the world by going to 1Mby1M.com. The premium program is our full acceleration program where you can get access to the curriculum. You can get access to private roundtables where we do this kind of mentoring. Investor introductions are through the premium program as well. And then we also help you with marketing, especially influencer marketing, as well as general Rolodex connections. If you want to just access the curriculum, you can also start with 1M Basic. You can upgrade to premium later. That's fine too. 1M Basic is an acceptable entry point to start learning the curriculum. Go to the website, try to understand what to expect from premium, basic. And if you have particular anxiety about privacy and stealth and all that, which some entrepreneurs do, you can access one-on-one consulting, but it is much more expensive. It's $1,000 per hour. Premium is $1,000 per year. So that's the program. Upcoming free roundtables. You can pitch at a free roundtable once, and then you have to be in the premium program for ongoing collaboration. We have one more roundtable in May and then 4 in June. So lots of opportunity. If you're in the room thinking about pitching at a future date, you can absolutely book a slot to pitch. If you have questions about the program, Irina Patterson is your contact. Irina at 1Mby1M.com, and she can also get on the phone, WhatsApp, Skype, whatever mechanism you want to talk to her about. Okay, George Victor, you have questions. You are welcome to unmute your line and ask your questions. You can also turn on your video if you like. You don't have to.
Hi, Sramana. How are you doing today?
Good. Where are you dialing from, George?
I'm from Bangalore in
Okay.
India.
Lift your camera. Your camera is showing your torso, not your face.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Yeah. Hi. This was not working for me until you did something. I mean, now I can unmute and then, at least point my camera.
You have to be allowed to unmute. We allowed you to unmute after we finished the pitches.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much, Ramana, for that. I'm basically, I'm an entrepreneur recently. I worked for around 20 years in Fortune 100 companies mostly. And then last time I was working with Oracle's AI team in Bangalore.
Okay.
Once I retired, and then I started a company of my own. But then initially, we are not into, initially I was thinking maybe I'll stay away from investor as much as I could. And then if I could generate, I don't know, I'm not saying I was right, but then that was my plan. Actually, I bootstrapped the company with my own fund. And in between, I had to finish my doctorate as well. So 1 year I took off from all these things because I had to finish my studies as well. My doctoral studies. So this last year again, I come back to the company, and then I want to take it to that US market. And I'm almost done with minimum viable product. It's basically an AI which is into mental health care. So we are creating AI agents which can currently perform around 100 evaluations and for different mental situations, or we cannot call it diseases, but then whatever your mental problems are, around 100 tests it can do right now, but it is still in a MVP state. It's not yet a product which can get into market right away. So I need probably a couple of months for that to be finished. So that is the time frame I was looking at. Probably I'll take a premium membership from you guys, and so that I'll get your expertise to look into what we are doing, and then if there is any feedback, however brutal it could be, it's always welcome.
There will be
And if
plenty
there
of
is
feedback. You're going to have to learn how to build a business. You haven't done that.
Exactly. So if you could also introduce a couple of not couple of, probably, that's one thing I wanted to ask you. So if I take a yearly membership and premium, so is there a limit of investor introductions that you're going to do, or is it like unlimited? I'm just asking in 1 year.
There is no limit to the number of investor introductions.
Okay.
We introduce you to, but please don't assume that you join the program and you're immediately introduced to investors. You have to be ready to be introduced.
I understand.
Because
okay.
There's no point sending you to investors to be rejected constantly, right? That's not how it works. So,
I understand.
But there is no limit to the number of investor introductions.
Okay, and also, I'm just casually asking because as you can imagine, my background is not into business; it's into research. So, with the AI in mental health care market, the total addressable market is around 25 billion.
No, it's not. It's not. You don't know. You don't know
no,
how to calculate total available market.
Okay.
You have to learn that first.
Oh, okay. So those sort of things would be there in that.
Yes. There's a curriculum. You're going to be
that...
spending a lot of curriculum time to learn. We do very well with entrepreneurs who are coming from a technical background, don't have the business background. We are very good at teaching them the business side. In fact, I don't know what years you were in Oracle, but 1Mby1M was the platform on which Oracle did their intrapreneurship program for 6 years. That was, I think, 2013 to 19.
I left Oracle in 2022, I guess.
But were you there in 2013 to 19? You were there in Oracle?
No. I was not there. I was 2013. Probably I was in NVIDIA. If you know NVIDIA.
We ran Oracle's intrapreneurship program and basically taught huge numbers of Oracle employees how to the business side. Essentially, it was like an MBA of entrepreneurship within the Oracle system, which Oracle funded. So but aside from that, we do very well with technical entrepreneurs trying to become business savvy and learn the ropes of how to build a business. So you will get all of that in the program. But you will have to learn that. Like, don't go around telling people you're building for a $25 billion market. You're not.
Okay.
And the reason you're not is because you don't know how to calculate TAM.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I was going with some of the materials which is available in the online spectrum right now. So and 25 billion is by 2034, not currently.
It is not 25 billion. I'm sure it's not 25 billion. Anyway, you will have to learn that.
So are you saying is it less than that or is more than that? I'm just curious.
It's going to be a lot less than that.
A lot less than that. Okay. All right, great. So if this AI into mental health care, if you are thinking it has some value addition which can be done currently. To the mental healthcare industry, which I'm not wrong, if it is in hundreds of billions, if I'm not wrong, mental healthcare, right?
Yeah, but mental
I mean,
healthcare being hundreds of billions doesn't mean your business is in hundreds of billions.
yeah, that's true. So, yeah, maybe then the next question could be, I can ask once I learn about, how to do that correctly with your materials. So all those materials are part of this,
Yes.
premium program, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
You will, if you do this program right, you're going to get
Okay.
effectively a mini MBA in early stage tech startups. And that's going to help you put one step before the other. So we'll teach you all that. And there's a curriculum that you do at your own time, the roundtables you can attend every week, ask questions and iterate on your strategy. So it's very well set up. It's been going on for 17 years. So don't worry, we are very equipped to take care of you.
Okay, and if I could ask, how many investors are like VCs are associated with your firm?
Over 1,000.
Oh, okay, amazing.
But they're not all going to be applicable to you because VCs, as Lisa was talking about, they have stage, they have geography, they have domain, they have all kinds of specific things that they're interested in. Not everybody, 1,000 VCs are not going to be interested in your product.
I understand that. Yeah, thank you so much. I think I'm done with the, I basically wanted to ask these few basic questions.
Okay.
I think I have shoot a couple of mails to you and, Maureen.
I will not answer mails, okay?
Okay, yeah.
If you're in the program, I will answer emails, but I'm not gonna coach you unless you are in the premium program.
Yeah, cool. So I basically wanted to ask a few questions like this before, and get a hang of what
you can ask Irina questions about the program. If you have questions after this session about the program, you can ask Irina. You can come back here to the next free roundtable and ask questions. That's all fine.
Okay, cool. Then I'm done with my questions for now today.
All right.
At least, and then I might need a couple of months to finish that MVP, and then I'll come back.
I don't think you should wait because what you put in the MVP is going to be determined by your strategy, and I think your strategy. Don't waste time to learn the basics of strategy because we prefer that you do not write a line of code until you've actually validated your business. And here you are doing an MVP for years before actually doing any validation work. That is the wrong way to do a business.
Okay.
So if I were you, I would join the program, learn what to do, how to put one foot before the other. MVP can wait.
All right. Yeah. Let me just go through this thing for a couple of days, and then maybe I can come back.
You're welcome to join the program when you're ready. I'm not saying that you should join the program right now, but I'm telling you that our philosophy is do not write a line of code until you have validated the business. And you haven't even started validating your business.
Oh, yeah.
And you're developing MVP for years, not months, years.
My initial plan was to actually, get into the, hire a few people from Europe and then go for with that contract with some of that, what do you say, the mental hospital chains, right? So, and then create a solution for them because we already got initially we got a product development request from one of the firms in India itself. They have a few branches. So we wanted to, initially that's how this even MVP started because it started as a solution for them, but eventually they couldn't raise the capital that they were initially planning to raise, so that contract didn't go through. That was the reason that I had to begin because we already had money on the table when we started.
But now you don't have money on the table.
No, we don't have the sales yet.
Now you need to follow the classic methodology of how to build a business, and that requires that you validate your business first before you start developing product.
Okay, I got what you're saying, Stan.
Okay. So, I don't want to be in a position you spend another few months and then you come to me and you start learning the methodology. We apply that methodology and go through this process and you have to discard all the stuff that you built. It's a very not happy situation for anybody. So try to
Okay.
avoid that.
Yeah, I'll try. I'll just, I might have to go through this one more
All right.
time.
I think
but
we've covered
Yeah,
what you needed
cool.
to cover. There are a few other people.
Yeah.
I think Pradeep wants to be unmuted, Maureen, so he can ask questions. Is there anybody else who wants to be unmuted? Just let us know as soon as possible, so you can be unmuted and you can ask your questions. Pradeep, please unmute.
Okay, I hope.
You can turn
Yeah,
your
I
video
hope.
on if you like. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah, yeah. Hi. So I have started a private limited in India known as Purple Identity, right?
Okay.
And that is our brand name. My background is like I have worked around 16 to 17 years in identity and access management space
Okay.
in cybersecurity domain, and so I have worked right from being a developer to an implementation guy to a consultant, and also I have worked as a customer. So
Okay.
with the advent of AI LLM, I saw that there was an opportunity wherein we can basically reduce the implementation lifespan of the product, as well as add bring some additional services to the identity and access management space, right? So currently what happens is any large organization, if it wants to perform automation, govern access, right, they take around a year to onboard 100 applications roughly, right? This has been the trend so far, wherein you need to automate the lifecycle management of identities, then you need to govern access, do the role-based access control, right, and run some of the certification campaigns. And so they typically take for 100 applications to implement around a year time, right? Large companies. So there are existing leaders in the space. So the product that we have come up with, and for which we have a prototype and we have some working modules as well. So what we do is that with AI LLM as well as with the proprietary algorithms on which we are working, we can basically onboard an application in 2 meetings. So basically we can help customers go live in 2 sessions, right? They don't have to spend time
So
like
your
3
value
months or 6
proposition
months.
is in the onboarding, you're not replacing the identity products, you're onboarding fast. That's the value proposition.
Yeah, that is point one. And eventually we want to replace the current IAM
I
suite of
wouldn't go
products,
there
right?
because this industry is so crowded
Yeah,
and with such
yeah,
big leaders with so much clout
yeah,
behind their back. If you
yeah,
can
yeah,
go, if you can fill a gap as opposed
yeah,
to going head on against an existing, an
yeah,
incumbent, that's a
yeah,
better strategy. So I would
yeah,
recommend that you
yeah,
do not do that.
yeah, yeah. That's the plan. Like, I mean, we basically come up with, because like the guys with which we are working, like we have industry experience, we understand data, and we can write algorithms that can do the job in minutes and not in weeks and months. There we go with expertise, and eventually we build an ecosystem around it. Today, when we start the organization, we say that we can work with existing vendors, we can work with existing products, right? And with the advent of MCP, A2A protocol, I think like there is definitely some scope for us to take big leaps going forward. But again, we want to start working with the existing products, because one of the things is that it's a security product, right? And
Yeah,
it takes
trust
time
is
to
huge.
gain. Yeah, yeah. So that's where like we want to work with
So
existing
what is your
players, and then
question? How can I help you?
so I want to understand, like, how do you see this? Am I in the right business? How do you see me, our business doing it? Do you see a scope for
It's
us?
not me who should validate your business. It's your customers who should
Okay,
validate your business.
okay,
So
okay. So
I say this
yeah,
to everybody. You should
hmm
not go to investors or advisors or accelerators to validate your business. Your
okay,
validation will have to happen from customers. Customer validation is the only kind of validation that matters.
okay, okay,
Okay, so
okay.
but what
Yeah,
we do is
mhm,
help you build that business. If you do not have experience of building a business before, we can definitely guide you on how to put one foot before the other, and that's what 1Mby1M is.
yeah, 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 yeah. So definitely, so yeah, so I wanted to understand, like, okay, So I think I got some idea from you. Like we are trying to work, or we are working with few customers. So as I was listening to you on the total addressable market as well, so I just thought like I would ask you the question like on the business side of things. But again, as you're mentioning that we'll essentially have to talk to customers, right, and talk to people
Yeah, for
more
validation,
and
you
more.
have to talk to
Yeah.
customers. And
Okay.
to learn about things like TAM, you can join the program and learn from the program. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So taking the next leap, like example from 5 to 10 customers to 50 customers, 100 customers, like how to build the business on top of this. I think then you're essentially saying me that I'll have to join the program and you can help us guide it
Yes,
and develop
absolutely.
business, right?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay, fine. And what are the validations you need for you to help us? If we have
Don't
some
need
5
any
customers.
validation. Anybody can join the program. As long as you're working within the technology startup
Okay.
world, we can work with you. No problem. Semiconductor, I wouldn't recommend because
Yeah.
that's a very capital intensive area, and
Yeah.
it's very difficult to finance and very difficult to put one foot before the other without financing. So that I would say I would leave outside of our scope.
Yeah.
Biotech, we don't take on either for the same reason, very capital intensive. But this kind of business, the kind of business you are doing, cybersecurity, we have a lot of knowledge of,
Okay.
huge network around. So you're very welcome to join the program.
Yeah, because currently we are bootstrapping and definitely, as I mentioned to you, right? I mean, we want to take the next leap after the
Yeah,
MVP.
once you,
Yeah.
again, it's, you have to build one step at a time, and you have to build up to fundability. What the next milestone, if your goal is to build with a funded startup, then you have to build up to fundability, and we can definitely guide you to there. And then once you're ready, we can introduce you to investors. All of that is within the scope of the program.
And today I'm bootstrapping. So what do you recommend? Like, should I continue this or like
you have to
I'm
continue
planning to
this.
grow?
You have to continue. Bootstrap first, raise money later is the 1M system. We bootstrap to fundability or bootstrap to sustainability, one or the other.
Yeah, like so like how should I have the milestones? The question is like I'm having difficulty in coming up with milestones.
That I
Like
cannot
when should
tell
I
you
go for
unless
funding?
if you're in the program and I get to know your business, I can give you the milestones. But in vacuum, I cannot give you the milestones.
Okay, fine. Yeah, because that is where like
if you're
I
in the
want to.
program, you are welcome to meet with me every week. We have roundtables, private roundtables like this. Roundtables, but they're private for members only, where you can come and meet with me every week. We can agree on milestones. What is the next step? What are the next 3 things you need to do? Then you come back and check in with me, and that I can set it all up for you. But you need to be in the program for that.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Okay, great. Then thank you. Thanks for the suggestions and the help.
Look forward to working with you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Anybody else? Suraj Biswas, do you want to introduce yourself? You exchanged messages with me in LinkedIn yesterday, I think. Yes, no? Tushar?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, ma'am. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. So, we are developing LBM, large behavioral model. So, it is something different from existing LLM. We train our model on complete human metadata from genomics, neuropsychological, their behavioral, their habitat, their digital behavior, multiple data points we understand, and we train the model for better personalization. So it is not an extended version of LLM. It is something that can empower LLM for better personalization. According to Spinger Research, the current industry of the
What is
personalization
the
is around.
application? What is the key
Yes.
application?
Key applications, any type of AI model can modify themselves according to the multiple behavioral level understanding, their mood, their stress, their requirement, their health. So it is not gonna like a prompting basis. It will automatically interact based on the
That's not my
requirement.
question. So we have to, if you want to build a business around something,
Okay, this is a
it's
domain
important to
agnostic
come
right
up
now.
with, it's important
Right
to
now
come.
we are
You're not listening.
Okay.
If you want to build a business, you need to create something that somebody is going to pay for. Who is the target customer, and what is the use case that you're going to solve for? This is a very important test that we have to perform for you to develop strategy. So think about that. You don't have to answer this question right now, but think about it. And you're
We
very
have the
welcome
use
to.
case, ma'am. We are already serving. We have the more than 1 lakh user, 100K user in for the education domain. We're also into the human resource, and further domains will also operate in health and
These are
finance.
paying customers or free users?
Yes. We have the educational institute, coaching institute,
They're
ERP
paid?
companies are, yes.
Okay, so you have an application that is paid.
Yes, we
That is
already have
okay.
for the
Good,
education wise, we have product. Yeah.
very good. All right. Well, you're most welcome to join the program, and we'll take it
Sure.
further.
Sure. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, I don't see any more hands up or any other requests to talk today. So I'm going to adjourn the session, and we will see you next week. Thank you for coming. Bye, everybody.